Thank you, Uday. Uh, it's almost very difficult when everyone's been here for almost 3 days absorbing so many different facets to then conclude the entire thought process. And I think that's the challenging task I have here. I'd like to start by saying that, and I second Karan, that of course everyone here misses Yashji and absolutely respects the legacy. But I also want to salute the fact that I think going forward for the next decade, we're in phenomenal hands with Uday and Karan, and I'd like you to give them a round of applause just for that. So, I can't be, I'm glad we had a break with Kajol in her absolutely effervescent self, as she normally is, to sort of lighten the mood a little bit as we get into the last part, which is the much more serious part of concluding what was definitely 3 very interesting days. If I just start with the first assumption that we're supposed to and we are slated to grow by 12%, just want to put that into perspective. Overall, if you look at the 5, 6, or 7 top industries today here, we're still growing lower than most of the sunshine industries. So to a certain extent, we need to introspect that if we want to be in that peg of the sunrise industries of the next decade, we cannot afford to just grow at 12%. My sense when I look at the 12% growth, and I think we always keep talking about that thought process, is there is a certain gap that we're missing between the phenomenal talent we have in this industry when it comes to creating content and the phenomenal talent that we have to make commerce out of it. But somewhere down the line, I think there is a sliver in which a lot of it goes away. And I think each of us needs to introspect as contributors to this industry. And this is an industry that I think is really flat. It's not about leadership. It's about each and everyone here and in our entire industry that can make a difference. And I just genuinely, strongly believe that there is a tremendous sliver that goes away. I want to just sum up. I was tempted when I started writing the pen of talking about the cup half empty, but then I thought, let's leave this on a positive note. So I changed that around, tore up the first sheet of paper and said, let me first summarize what I think is the cup half full, because I think that's always a better way to start with. We feel good about it, we feel motivated, and then I'd like to sum it up with a few comments at the end of that. Firstly, I think what are the things that have happened in the last 1.5 years? Number one, for 20 years we've waited for digitization, and I don't think anyone can undermine the absolute incredible impact that it's going to have for us. It actually means that we can get into, for the first time in 20 years, 50% of our industry, which is television and broadcasting, can get to a much more level. I think we should hold the popping of the champagne, because I do believe it's going to be at least another 2 to 3 years before the revenue monetization of this impact comes about. And why? Because we've made those investments, we've got that, but the consumer doesn't necessarily reflect this. So for us to really monetize this entire thought process, it's going to take another 2 to 3 years. But I still think it's fantastic news that after 20 long years of waiting, from the time when Zee celebrated its 20 years in the CNN Gulf War to now, that this is the first time that's happening. I also believe there is a very radical change, and I agree with Uday in his opening where he set really almost the benchmark for the entire conference by talking about the rating systems and the lack of rating systems and the lack of critical mass. But again, I'm looking at the cup half full today, and I think there is a cup more than half empty there. But the fact that we've actually been able to broad base some of that means to a certain extent that the solution really lies in our hand. I think if we all get together, we've got to be able to do something about it. Because I think it's completely catastrophic that 70% of television households still are not in the rating scanner. So I don't understand how anyone can run a business if we still can't track 70% of the people in the audience that watch us. But we've moved from 10% to 30%, and I think that is a cup half full. Overall, I would say just in new media, there is a lot to celebrate about. Unfortunately, again, we haven't been able to monetize that. But not just on the 900 million phones. The fact that we're going to be 100 to 200 million smartphones in less than 1 or 2 years, the fact that Samsung, that Nokia, that Facebook, that YouTube look at this as their second or number 3rd market in the world is phenomenal. Now, we all need to work towards taking that to the next level, but I definitely believe that is something that has substantially been a contributing factor. 2012, as far as movies was concerned, and well put by Karan, is that storytelling has lived and coexisted phenomenally with entertainment blockbusters. And I think in many ways, an audience has evolved, an audience has told all of us who are creating content exactly the balance they'd like to see, and this coexistence is a phenomenal base for the 1,000 crore ambition that Karan has set himself, not the whole industry. So we leave that one for him, and a little bit more on that later. I think this is the only country where print is growing, and that's something we need to understand and therefore reflect on that. I know we don't spend too much time on print at FICCI Frames, but this is really, if not one of the few, I would say the only country where print is growing. So to that extent also talks about the dynamism as far as the market goes. We are now the largest, and have been for the last 1 to 2 years, the largest DTH market in the world. And that again is a serious reflection. Again, challenges on monetization, is the content paying? But if you look at some of these foundation stones that have been actually laid, and if you introspect on them and take a little bit more of a 3 to 4 to 5 year view, I think we're heading in the right direction in many ways. Again, with only my hat of the cup half full. I do believe in India, and I think the minister averred to that to a certain extent, and I know the secretary is here too. I think we enjoy minimum regulation in this country. And I think we should benchmark that with many, many mature economies, including the United States. And if you look at that, there's very little regulation that we necessarily go through. I know I could be taking the sort of lone approach to that thought process. I fully agree that when we come to censorship, but I also believe that the censorship is not necessarily a regulatory challenge. It's actually become a very democratic challenge. It's become an environmental challenge. It's become a political challenge. And most of the resistance to self-censorship comes from organizations that are not part of the regulatory body, which makes it a little bit more challenging. But I think there is an opportunity for us to look at where actually the regulation has been substantially supportive. Something for me personally that I've really felt has been excellent is that we have had a massive audience democratization in this country. It's kind of flattened out. No longer do you have to sit down there and believe that an advertising agency or a creative person and a single marketing message is going to get anyone moving to consume anything else. The interactive element, the social media, the word of mouth, it's made everything that is created into a level playing field. Again, I treat this as a massive asset for all of us, because in the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, two things. When you want to launch something, do you really need to spend the marketing dollars that you're spending right now? Question mark. I strongly aver not so as we go forward. And second, our ability, therefore, to be able to keep that and extend the life cycle is phenomenal and fantastic. On the flip side, if you made something wrong, word of mouth will kill it in nanoseconds. So I think we're living in a competitive world, but we cannot actually undermine that thought process. I know there's been a lot of respect for research in the last 2 or 3 years, and a lot of audience engagement, and I think that's been something that's very good. I think overall games and radio has started to become viable businesses, and the kids genre and the youth genre have become very identifiable demographics. So if I were to take that, I think that's clearly an asset. And last but not the least, in the cup half full, we all say India is a continent, and I think while here at FICCI Frames we really talk about what we call the HSM or the Hindi-speaking market, notwithstanding my colleagues here, but actually the regional market has grown phenomenally. It's not something we sit here and necessarily introspect on, and therefore it's a very strong commitment that India is a reflection of a true continent, and it's not with any lack of effort that we've had tremendous growth in our regional segments. Again, a very strong bedrock when you look at the next 5 to 10 years. So if I was looking at needle movers, one, on a more softer note, I think we lack unanimity in this industry. There is an obligation for every leader, every company, and I think every one of us here to look at what is our contribution over the next 5 to 10 years to grow the industry. Of course, we'll be working in competitive environments, but I just don't get the sense that on 3 or 4 issues every year, if the entire bodies and all the constituents came together, we could be a force to reckon with. Otherwise, we'll have to settle at 12%, whether we like it or not. Second, there's got to be a lot more innovation and disruptiveness. I want to reflect back and ask each of you all, where do you think is the last 3 most innovative things that have happened in the media and entertainment industry? And if you reflect on them, they're substantially far and few between. It's not about necessarily what we think the audience want. How innovative, how Apple innovative, how Amazon innovative, how many of these aspects innovative have we been. And I think while we are a little bit more complacent as a lot, there's a tremendous amount to be done. It's not an onus for 5 or 10 people to do. I think something that has to be taken forward in a large manner. On the 1,000 crore box office, I would say today we clearly, absolutely and totally have the potential for that. We don't have the screens, but I think that's work in progress. We cannot increase our ticket price, clearly and absolutely. We'll reduce footfalls if we keep increasing our ticket price. So there's no way we can get to 1,000 crores by increasing our ticket price. We actually need to increase the people who want to come in there. Third, I think the offering in cinema has to be one where each of those makes you want to come out of your house and watch the cinema. And fourth, if all of us in the industry actually do have 30 and 60-day windows for television, we'll never see a 1,000 crore movie, because if anyone goes in and after seeing the trailer decides, okay, this is the movie I'm going to see in the movie theater, or this I'm going to watch in 60 days on television, which at the moment is almost like free television at $5, we're not going to be able to get to the 1,000 crore. So I think there's a lot of work to be done there outside of actually innovating on content, but just 2 or 3 triggers, and that market is there. Today, the potential of what we're doing in cinema clearly does that. Piracy takes some part of it. The decision for people to see free television takes a little bit part of it, but I think the potential is clearly there. I think it's going to be very, very important in this competitive environment for us to know our consumer. It's something that I think we take lightly. It's a very difficult thought process. And the more difficult one for the people who are going to go further are going to be that not only do you need to know your consumer or who your real audience is, but what you think they're going to need 3 years and 5 years down the line. If today we're not thinking about what the consumer or our focus group or our audience needs 3 years and would like to see 3 years and 5 years down the line, and that's never going to come from research, it's going to come from each and all of us, I think that's going to be an important part of what we're doing here. Experiential and outdoor entertainment. This is the one single thing I think doesn't get discussed too much at these conferences. I do believe today actually one of the strongest competitors in the future for media and entertainment will be travel and tourism. Because in a country like ours, we have very low infrastructure. When we want to get out on a weekend, we really struggle, not just in Mumbai, but in any part of India, we really struggle of what we want to do, just to step out and go anywhere else. The concept and the power of experiential entertainment and live events, and I don't mean just rock concerts, but overall experiential entertainment in the next 5 years could be a very, very strong segment of how we want to engage our billion viewers in many aspects. No wonder today that a lot of people watch television the way we do and the number of hours we do consume it, and how movies is almost in everyone's DNA and bloodline. And I think a part of that is a disruptive element that I believe experiential entertainment can do for us. And lastly, we all talk about the second TV and the second TV household and the second TV home. And I strongly believe that actually the second TV is going to get substantially irrelevant because it's going to be your personal screen. Now, for a lot of us sitting there and making plans, and I have that same challenge in my organization where everyone's saying, yes, but it's still going to be 10 years away. I don't believe it's going to be 10 years away. Look at 5 years back on a landline. I don't think anyone today spends any approach in time to look at what you would call communications on a fixed approach. The television set is fixed either on your wall unit or at max on a moving trolley. I think the question and the clear dire result for having a personal screen is going to happen. It's not going to happen in the top 10 cities. It's going to happen in the top 100 cities. It's going to happen in community tablets across villages. It's a price threshold and a bandwidth issue. And with a flick of a switch, it's going to happen, and we won't know when it's coming. For us as an industry, if we want to look at engaging the billion viewers, because we're not reaching out today with most of our assets necessarily with a billion viewers, then this is going to be, I would say the next 5 billionaires from the media and entertainment will come specifically if you look at this spot and this opportunity to take it to the next level. So I want to thank everyone here, and I do want to actually leave a thought that I'm personally a believer that the next 10 years between a combination of data, bandwidth, and content is going to be more valuable than oil. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. As usual, insightful, thoughtful, challenging, but very positive. And there couldn't have been a better keynote address at the valedictory session, because what you said here can be the agenda for what we should all individually in our companies and in our businesses, but also in FICCI frames should focus on in the years ahead. Thank you very much for doing that. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now the Secretary for Environment and Broadcasting, and as I said a while ago, Mr. Uday Kumar Verma chose to make the difficult choice of flying all the way for just a few hours. And that personally makes me really, really grateful and happy. I also should say that, it's difficult to introduce Mr. Uday Kumar Verma. Most of you know him, and I don't need to introduce him to most of you. However, he's also somebody who has quietly but very steadfastly in the last several years that he's been at the ministry, first, now as a secretary, but before that as an additional secretary. He has quietly worked to change the contours of media and entertainment business in this country. If digitization is the most central item on media and entertainment agenda today, the credit for this goes to Mr. Verma more than any one person in the industry. I remember, and some of us like Ronnie and I have seen it very quietly, when nobody understood digitization in the government and even outside the government, when everybody had really resigned to the idea that digitization of cable would never happen in this country, especially after the failure of CAS. Mr. Verma kept quietly building a case, and finally, as I said in my theme speech, the unthinkable has begun to happen. If there are 10 million digital cable homes today in this country, the credit for that goes to Mr. Verma. If 80 million homes will go digital in the next 2 years, the credit would go to Mr. Verma. And if there is a very serious debate whether on media and entertainment, whether on film and issues of Cinematograph Act, whether on radio, whether on even freedom of expression and the extent of censorship, one of the things that I have always liked about Mr. Verma is that he's had a very open approach with the industry. We've always gone to him. We've often disagreed, and he's never used his official clout to take a decision. He is one of the most deft manipulators of industry consensus, and through that he has created consensus. And as you know, I'm a big believer in the power of consensus, and this industry, if it has moved towards several broad consensus areas, the credit for that goes to Mr. Verma. And I'm really privileged to invite him to address us at the valedictory session. Mr. Verma.
Thank you very much, Mr. Uday Shankar. I think you were very generous. I'm indeed very happy, in fact delighted to be here. Like previous years, FICCI Frames actually is one event, in my opinion, which perhaps is looked forward to by everybody in media and entertainment industry, by government also. Because I think this is one platform, one forum where you get the best people from the industry. And I think the level and quality of deliberations is of extremely high quality. And that provides us not only inputs for the industry, but also to a very, very large extent for the government as well. There is a very interesting and famous book in Sanskrit. This is known as Panchtantra. It's like Aesop's fables, but much more comprehensive and perhaps much richer. This was created by a fellow known as Vishnu Sharma. And when he started writing this book, he started with one couplet, and I like to quote it here. It says, Siddhe sadhe satamastu prasadatasya dhurjate Jahnavi fen lekheva yan murdhani shashina kala. Those of you, most of you perhaps would not know Sanskrit. And therefore, whichever way I translate, you will have to accept it, but I'll be very faithful. what he did was that he invoked good people actually in an enterprise which is going to be an extremely important enterprise, an endeavor which is going to be a very, very important endeavor. I mean, perhaps you know that this fellow was given the task of actually educating 4 delinquent children of a king. And you know how difficult it is to really deal with delinquent people and unruly people and indisciplined people. So this is the task that was given to him. This is what perhaps FICCI is also doing. FICCI Frames is also doing. And I think, I put it in the most positive sense, and I make bold to say that, well, this offers through a collection of narratives and through a stream of thoughts, one is able to really find the way forward. And in practical terms, although there is a general sense of, sort of general direction that it should be taken, but I think what is more important is that we come out after this, 3 days deliberations with very, very substantial ideas, and that is what is extremely important. We all talked about digitization, and we are all glad that it has happened. It has happened because, as Mr. Uday Shankar has said in this thing, because there was an alignment. There was an alignment between within the industry, first of all, and also between industry and the government and other stakeholders. And I think this argument of alignment is very, very valid. And I think we need to really see that this alignment, and I'll perhaps like to refer to it sometime later in my address, that this spirit of alignment and this whole concept of alignment has actually to be pursued very, very seriously. That is perhaps one very important ingredient for any growth or development of the sector will be taken care of if we are able to really address that. It was a difficult task, no doubt about it, but we did it, and I think we can feel very satisfied about it, maybe a little bit of proud also, maybe a certain amount of pride we can take, that because this is something which has happened in a record time, and no country in the world has been able to do so, and it has happened in the most smooth fashion. It has happened quietly, but it has happened very, very smoothly. We must remember that this is one program which has happened without a single passage intervention from the government. There is no subsidy. There's no subsidy on set-top boxes. The whole cost of this whole operation was borne by the industry. I think this is remarkable. This has not happened anywhere else in the world. Phase 2, which involves 38 cities having more than 1 million population, I think I can report to you that the progress is quite satisfactory. About 60% digitization has already taken place in these 38 towns. There are 21 cities which have achieved more than 50% digitization, about 10 cities which have achieved more than 75% digitization. And I think there are only 4 cities, slightly problematic cities, where the digitization level at this point of time is roughly around 30%. So I'm quite sure that with the help of all stakeholders, the second phase by 31st March also should be accomplished. And I think if that is done, and I see no reason why it will not be done, the process of digitization of cable service in India would become virtually irreversible. And I think irrespective of the mandate or irrespective of the deadlines subsequent to 31st March, the process has to reach its logical conclusion, and that is complete digitization of cable services, and then related to that other things in the entire cable industry. So we have been pursuing it, and I think all stakeholders have been very, very helpful and very, very proactive. And if there are any problems, we need to really look at them and collectively tackle them and find solutions as far as those problems are concerned. While in the process of digitization, the set-top box seeding process has happened very successfully. I think the more important dimensions of digitization and after effect of digitization is yet to be realized fully. Unless there is complete addressability, I think digitization process is incomplete. And I think we have to very seriously work towards it. And while a number of steps are being taken by TRAI in the government, I think while we also we recognize this, it's like work in progress and it takes a little while to do that. But I think all the stakeholders will have to really work towards it. There are certain responsibilities which are cast upon all stakeholders that must be carried out, because unless we are able to have complete transparency in the system, have full transparent subscriber data, and that would actually address the aberrations of the business models that we have. And as Mr. Ronnie Screwvala was pointing out, that I think in next a year or two, I think most of these aberrations should be addressed, and we should have a far more healthy and dynamic system based on real data and not on conjectures or not on sort of approximations. So the challenges as far as digitization is concerned, I'll just quickly put them. Number one is, of course, we have to make sure that set-top boxes of requisite quality and certifications are made available by MSOs, which they are doing. I don't think there will be any problem. We have to provide roughly 16 million set-top boxes in 38 million towns. 10 millions have been seeded, 6 millions are yet to be seeded, and I'm told that if you take into account what is available in stock and what is in pipeline, I mean 6 million set-top box would be made available by the end of this month. So I don't see that as a big problem. But the bigger problem is the agreement between broadcasters, MSOs and LCOs. I think that needs to be addressed, and since everybody, almost all people who are associated with this process are here, I'll certainly request them to really expedite it. Also important is to make sure that consumer understands what digitization is and what is the price that he has to pay for the set-top box and for the services that he's going to get. That is extremely, extremely crucial. A public awareness campaign, an effective public awareness campaign is a must. That must be really, and we have now, in last day or two, I suppose it is already in place, and we do hope that it gains momentum in coming days, and it really becomes a very, very effective instrument of public awareness. And lastly, the role of the state governments will be crucial in the second phase, because there are 15 state governments involved. And given the present circumstances where it's seldom that we have the union and the states coming to agree on any issue, that is what the situation today is. I think this becomes extremely crucial. And of course, the role that TRAI has to play, the regulator, we really need to make sure that the regulation of the right kind is put in place as and when required. I need not go into the details of the dividend that digitization would bring to the industry. It is well known, it has been discussed. But some trends which I perceive, and I think that emanates from the data which TAM has created. Of course, TAM data itself has been an issue, and it requires much greater application of mind on the TV rating system. If there is, I think a lot of discussion took place, that is my understanding, about the proper rating system for the TV programs. I would like to say here that the option of the industry creating its own rating system is already there. And the IBF, to my understanding, is very seriously working towards it. But that may take time. And if there is a general consensus that the government should intervene in this matter and maybe come out with some guidelines which any rating agency should actually be following in terms of sample sizes, in terms of the spread, in terms of several other dimensions and parameters, I think it will be something which government will be willing to consider. But that is that there is a general consensus that government should be intervening in these matters. there are lots of people who come and tell us that we must do something about it. There are issues raised in Parliament. There are industry stakeholders who come and say that the government should be doing more than what it is doing now. And at the same time, there are sections in the industry who feels that government should be away from this thing because it is a kind of a supply of a service and there is a demand for